The sun is about to go down, so I'm trying to like tape this in a way where I can beat the sun going down. But I just wanted to hop on and share with you guys my thoughts about this novel that I just finished reading called The Secret Lives of Baba Segi's Wives. And this was written by Lola Shoneyin, and it is a Nigerian writer who wrote this story that is set in modern day Nigeria. And you guys, it is really good. I enjoyed it so much. So where to begin? Well, to start, this book is centered around Baba Segi, and he is this larger than life guy, father, husband, and he is, I just think, like the epitome of patriarchy, like that kind of idea of what a patriarchal man is like. That's Baba Sigi. He's dominating, he's opinionated, he's entitled, and he really prides himself with the fact that he has multiple wives and that he has fathered multiple children, seven in fact. And when this novel opens up, we see that he has four wives. And the last wife, Bolani, is the one that kind of, it's the reason why the story was written. She's the one that came in and disrupted, I think, the hierarchical balance that these other three wives had established. The first wife is, her name is Aya Sigi, and in traditional culture, I think Aya means mother of, and then they take the wives take the name of their firstborn child, so mother of Sigi. So she's Aya Sigi, and she is a force to be reckoned with. She is strong, she is smart, she has agency, she is tough as nails. She doesn't take anything from anybody. She's also manipulative and very strategic. She's figured out how to survive. She's an incredible businesswoman, and she is, very, very savvy. And the second wife, Aya Tope, is the exact opposite. She is very quiet, very cautious. Mousy is a word that I would use to describe her. Unsure of herself. And actually, when I was in book club discussing this book, one of the folks suggested that she might be on the spectrum, that she read that she was writing that character, the author wrote that character as neurodivergent. I'm not so sure about that 100%, but when I look back, I was like, oh, okay, I can maybe see. But she's also very tender and very, she's bold and strong in her own way, but you don't see it the way that you experience Ayasigi. And the third wife is a Spitfire. Her name is Aya Fimi, and she is, the best way to describe her is spicy. She's just full of spice and spite. She is spicy and she is has a lot. She's very spiteful. She is brazen. She is the one that's kind of like, I'm the cute one. I'm the one that's holding it down. I'm his favorite. She kind of walks with that flavor. And she thus is very threatened by Bolani, which is this fourth wife that has come upon the scene. Ayafimi really just only cares about herself, and she's very clear about that, herself and her children. And she is the mother of the most sons, three sons, in fact. So that gives her a different kind of weight and power in the household, being the mother of three sons. This story is written in a very interesting narrative style. It's written in kind of like a circular first person narration, circular in the sense that or varied in the sense that we are able to hear from each character. The only character where that difference is Balani. There are some chapters where it's written in third person, close narration. But what this allows us to do is, because we are hearing from the characters themselves, I think that the reader is able to form like a really intimate relationship with each character. And, we have feelings about these characters. I mean, definitely. Some I liked more than others, but all I got to know. And that's what I really liked about this. I think that this book is like an ensemble cast. because I feel like I got to know each character equally. Like one didn't dominate the field than the other. And we got to know their secrets, and not just know them. I would say that you get to feel their secrets. You get to feel their trauma, their pain. You understand their choices, and you understand like the ways in which they justify it. Even if you don't agree, you can be like, okay, I get it. And that's kind of how I felt myself experiencing many of their choices. It was like, oh, girl, but I get it. And that really made me very close and drawn into this story. Um, Another thing I think that the narration style led to or allowed was, or set up, I would say, was the fact that the reader becomes the confidant of all these characters. We know all the secrets of all the women, and that's really interesting. So, yeah, that becomes like a really interesting kind of experience as you read this novel. The other thing that I liked about it that I thought was smart is that the prose is so simplistic. It is accessible, just very easy prose. There's nothing difficult about it. And because of that, I think it's a quick pace read. It's only 280 pages, so it's not a long book, but it's definitely one that has a good pacing. But I would caution that just because it's simple does not mean it doesn't have substance. I think that's the kind of beauty of it. And it's one of the things that kind of starts, or not starts, but it's one of the ways in which we see the duality. And there's lots of duality in this novel. So there is a duality of it's very simple, but it's very substantive at the same time. And I think that it allows you to like experience the humor that is in this book, because there's lots of humor, especially by way of Baba Segi and all of his antics and just his ways and the banter of the wives. But the humor is a mask to actually the very serious and consequential things that happen to the characters. And again, that's just this nice duality. Another thing that I liked is that it seems like the author really kind of built on or employed, I would say, the use of oral storytelling tradition. And we really feel that and experience that with Baba Sigi and his character. He is larger than life. He jumps off of the page. It is like he is holding court every time he's, in a scene. And he's just so useful with his language and his ways, and he's captivating and charismatic. And I think like that storytelling tradition does all of those things. And that is countered by Bolani and her way of communicating, which is very cool. It's very calculated. It's very demure. It's under control. It's also very logical. And so you have these different kind of styles that are not just expressed in the tone, but also expressed in the way in which they live and the tension between the two. Um, Gosh, there's lots of themes that this book, has, and some of the major themes that stood out to me was just one, the theme of manhood and masculinity. What does it mean to be a man? And who actually justifies manhood? Is it the man himself? Is it the community? Is it a combination? There's so much here to explore with the theme of manhood and masculinity, and it's a really key point in this novel. Definitely, Baba Sigi sees himself as the man. He is like king man, and he has that position because he is able to dominate. I'm not going to use the word dominate because I don't think that would be the word he would use. He is able to provide and to take care of his family. And I think that that's so rooted in manhood. And he also has a lot of children, and the ability to have children is a sign of vitality, and is a sign of manhood. I think I would caution people to not read him as just like one dimensional. I think that's the cautionary tale, because it's easy to read him and to write him off, or to be like, he's terrible, he's all bad, and to kind of boo boo him. But really, I would caution to read him in the context of the world that he comes from and what he knows and his social location. And so when I look at him like that, I'm like, well, he actually is doing a good job. He actually is taking care of his family. He's very present with them. He loves his kids, um, and seeks to have relationship with them. He's also like about equality and fairness, and we see that with how he is very keen on divvying up his time at night with his wives in a way that he deems is fair. And we see this. We see these aspects of him. So when I was first reading him, I was like, oh, oh, oh. But then I had to like step back and consider him and kind of let the wholeness of his situation, and that really helped me to see him in a more nuanced way. Definitely, for sure. I think one of the things that's hopeful about just the evolution of what it means to be a man is in his son, one of his oldest sons, and he is just tender, intuitive. He's very affectionate and soft spoken. He is the complete opposite of his father, and we see him actually trying to do things that traditionally, as a man, he would not be doing. And so, to me, I think that was like the little glimmer of hope for the future. Another theme that is prominent in this book is the theme of like education versus like real life experiences, or just I would say education in general, because I do think that everyone is educated, right? We do know things, but maybe how you're educated or what you're educated, or yeah, how you're educated is different. And so there's definitely a class between the education in the traditional sense, or of the bush is what they call it, versus the university education, the institutionalized education that Balani has. And this, we see a lot of tension. And I think that it's like a theme of like, what is education? Where is it useful and where is it harmful? Does education really allow for freedom? Did Balani's education prepare her for what she was to endure, and did it make her, in a sense, freer? I think these are all kind of questions that this theme arises, but and it doesn't answer it for us. It's something that's a real wrestling in this novel. But when you get to the end, there is a like, there's a and yet to this thing of education. When you get to the end of it, there's also just the theme of appearances versus reality. I think like, on the outside, again, that mask, the family looks together, everyone is shiny and, doing all the things that they should be doing and following in their roles. But, you know, underneath that or behind that, there is just a lot of pain, and there's a lot of chaos, and there's a lot of misfortune that happens, and a lot of secrets, as the title, suggests. So we have this, and that's for everyone. That it's very layered in that sense, which I really liked. Like, it's everyone kind of is confronting, like, oh, I thought it was this, but it was that, and oh, I thought that was that, but it's this. So I think it like is a really kind of fun dynamic thing that's happening in this novel. Um, and lastly, I would say sisterhood as a theme. And yeah, I really liked how she wrote these women. They all have a sense of agency. They are not like women to be pitied, um, in the big sense of the word. They all have experienced really hard things and have had traumatic experiences that definitely influence their decisions. But I don't think that they would say you need to pity me. There is a quiet strength about each one of these women that I think we get to experience over time. And again, almost like the cautionary tale to How to Read the Father, I wouldn't read these women as total victims. I just think that that takes away from what we can gain from these women, because I do think that they have stuff to teach us. and to share with us, even despite their circumstances and unfortunate choices that they've had to make in order to survive. And so one of the things that I really appreciated was that they're not just black and white characters, and their relationships are not black and white. There's so much of that gray, messy stuff. It's hard to pinpoint down exactly like what they are to each other. We know like you're not friends, but you are bound to one another, and your survival, kind of depends on one another. And so yeah, it's all this kind of messy tangledness that happens, and she writes it in such a simplistic way that is so authentic. Yeah, it's so authentic. I really appreciated that. Yeah, so those are kind of the major themes that stuck out to me. And one of the symbols that I've been thinking about is just the symbol of the house itself. And Baba Sigi's house is on a compound. And I was thinking about this house and what it meant to me as I was reading it. It's like functions as a cage, a stage, and a battlefield. And I know those are like three different things, but I'm trying to explain my thinking. I think the first way I experienced this compound was as a stage. I'll go in the middle first, as a stage first, because we see this grand performative act where he, lines up the children and he comes out, and every time like that he's in his home, it's like this stage kind of performative court experience. And also, it is very staged. They have a lot of staged moments that the women and the children do to appease him and to make him feel good. So it's not just a stage, but also a lot of their actions are staged actions. And we see these staged actions happen within the confines of his house. And it's like a cage because they don't have the women. I didn't get the sense that the women had total freedom of their comings and their goings. And religion, which is another theme. Sorry, my computer cut off. But I was saying that the theme of religion is another theme that is, I think, prevalent in this book and has a lot, adds a lot to it. We see religion is, the way that it's written is extremely performative. There's not a lot of like personal connection to faith. It's also the cause of tension between different characters, and especially their parents. But we also see freedom as like a vehicle of liberation. Aya Femi actually is able to use religion to leave the compound and to go places, or to leave like conversations and different things. So we see like how it is used, but I don't have like this sense of, I didn't get the sense from these characters of like religion in a very personal way. And but we kind of do see that a little bit with Baba Sige. So I take that a little back a bit. Like, I'm like, yeah. So it's something that I'm still thinking about. But it definitely is a theme that is prevalent in this novel for sure. So yeah, so I see the house as a stage, as a cage, and lastly as a battlefield. And that is because I think whenever you have systems of oppression, whenever people are lived in an oppressed way, competition is there. And that's what you see with these women. They are very competitive with themselves, or towards each other. And they each have their territories, and they each are trying to defend their territories and their sense of privilege by any means necessary, for sure. And so we definitely see that play out in this book. And because of that, their home isn't a place of peace, and it isn't a place of real freedom for any of them. And I think that that is what we see very clearly. We see that when it comes to the women, but we also see that as the novel goes on in terms of Baba Sige himself. So in order to figure all of that out and what I'm talking about, you all will have to read this book. I highly suggest that you read this book. It is witty. It is, it's uncomfortable. There are places in this where, again, the prose is so simple, and she's a blunt writer here. So she writes bluntly about sexual violence and reproduction issues. And so those things are very plain in this book. Um, but definitely read it. This one will linger with you. It will stay with you. You will be thinking about it. I've enjoyed having conversations with people, strangers and non strangers, just about this book and the things that it has made me think about. There are questions that are still like I'm thinking about and mulling over in my head. And that to me is like the sign of a good book. I love it when that happens, because when it ends, it's not over. You know, it stays with you, and it shapes and it forms. And as all good art does, or it should do, it expands. So I definitely felt expanded by this book, and I'm grateful that it came into my life. So that is all that I have for today. Thank you so much. If you made it to the end, put a smiley face emoji in the chat. Let me know that you made it to the end, and thank you. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to this channel and help our book family grow. I am so happy to have you. If you have not yet done that, please do so right now. Take a moment and hit that subscribe button. Also, like this video and share it with a friend. Share it with a fellow book lover who you think loves to watch YouTube videos about books, because I definitely love to do that. And you guys, until I see you the next time, you know what to do. I'm going to tell you to visit a local bookstore, treat yourself to something wonderful, and as always, stay reading. Bye.